All right, what's up, guys? Today is Sunday. Sorry, I got lost as far as days because I was in Oklahoma this weekend. But let's go back into these trade setups. So overall, the first thing that I'm gonna analyze is on the monthly. So when it comes down to the monthly, as far as AUD USD is concerned, same information that I always go through consistent, just trying to emphasize it and tell you guys to look at higher time frames because they're so vital whenever you take a trade. Break away from the retest zone as far as, not a trend line, bearish trend line, retest support zone respected, and we look at the daily. So far on the daily, we have this very clear information. Wicks on the downside. We have this channel created on a bearish trend line, market breakaway from this support and resistance zone, and a retest within that general area. So we see a lot of confirmation for the market to potentially maintain its upward direction. So I'm within a trade right now. It's still in profits. We do see this giant wick, which is basically probably the market resetting itself, just going back into its original position. So far, we have a bearish trend line being respected, retest, and it's within that support zone. It has not necessarily created new lower lows, but it hasn't created new higher highs. So overall expectation for the market is 52 pips, but I might move my target up to this general support and resistance zone just because of the fact that if it does hit within this resistance zone, there's a high probability chance that it might just retest and push up towards that support and resistance zone that we have marked up right here. So let's look at the 1 hour just to give us a little bit more clear detail. So on the 1 hour, I like what I see as far as the wicks are concerned. When the downside is that, on the downside, we see wicks, multiple wicks, meaning that there's sellers exhaustion, potential for the market to maintain an upward direction is highly probable. AUD USD has shown that its potential for a bullish trend is expected just because of the higher time frame. So if you want to get into this trade right now, not necessarily saying that it would be a great time to get into it, but just based on the confirmations, your probability of getting into a trade and hitting TP is very probable just because of the fact that it has shown a lot of confirmations based on higher time frames. So take that advice based on your own technical analysis and confirm it your own way. That's what I emphasize all the time. EU took an L with that. Not necessarily even tripping. It's just a 30-minute, not 30-minute, 30 pip L. Let's look at the monthly. So when it comes down to the monthly, simple information, same concept. Market broke away from the support resistance zone, retested. It's within that consolidation zone, and at the same time, it is under that bearish trend line. Nothing more to go through that. Daily. Market is within that channel. It has respected multiple times, and it yet has not created a new lower low. So that information is very vital and important for us just because of the fact that if we do not see a lower low in the next several hours, there's a high probability that EU might potentially go up. So far what we see right here is a market setup where we could potentially delete this because this is no longer vital information. We see a market. Oh, there's something that we must keep aware of. Market has broken away from this support zone, retested it on the downside. Not saying that the market is potentially going to go down just because on the higher time frame, there's probability for the market to maintain the bullish trend. But just looking at this, highly probable that this market is going to maintain that bullish trend. But just keep an eye on this just because of the fact that this is another confirmation for sell, if anything. But the fact is that we see a bearish trend line hit once, twice, and breakaway retest 3 times, and it's now found a lot of support within these levels, quicks on the downside as well. So for you to get into this trade, let me delete this just to give you guys a very clear picture of what you would need to wait for is a breakaway from this resistance zone. So that's what we need is a market to break away from this and potentially hit TPs upwards of this direction, meaning that its previous support and resistance zone that is highly probable to stop at is within this general area. So let's just wait and see what the market can give us, and if it's confirmed within that general area, we could potentially see a TP of about 96 pips. Not a bad trade if you do catch it within these levels, but let's wait and see because this information is very, in a sense, could go both ways just because of that. Now let's go to UJ. UJ, I was in this trade almost in my TP, didn't, sadly. I didn't get out of it, not necessarily waiting for it. I was upwards of almost 100 pips, which is not a bad trade at all. Right now it's within that zone where it's retesting that support resistance zone. Let's look at the monthly. So market break away from this bearish trend line. Retest at this zone. On a daily, market has shown a lot more detail when it comes down to these bearish trend lines. Another thing is that we do see the market break away from this support resistance zone and retest it with a support at this level. 4 hour, market has a bullish trend line confirmed once, twice, 3 times, break away and retest within that support resistance zone. So this is very good information for anybody that wants to get into this trade setup. On a 1 hour, same concept. Wow, this is really good. Not necessarily showing any, like, just because I emphasize that it's really good doesn't mean that you should get into this trade. I'm just showing you because of the fact that based on my confirmations, this would be a good re-entry point for this specific trade, for this specific pyramid. And the confirmation is the fact that it has found a lot of resistance at the support zone, resistance support zone. A market has not pushed above that. So for you to get into this trade, we would highly keep an eye on this general area, which is right here. Market should not push above that. If it does, then there's a high probability that market has broken away from this general area. So for us to get into this trade, we need market to consolidate within this level and push below that. I am within this trade. I'm still in profits based on this information. Expectation for the market to go down is highly probable. So UCAD. UCAD actually, it did hit my TP. Just because of the spread, to be honest. Not in this analysis because you can see these moves right here, but it did hit my TP just because of that damn spread that all brokers have. It was an 80 pip TP. About, to be honest, mine was more like a 78 pip. But let's look at this information just to give us a little bit more of an understanding. So what could potentially happen? Market has found this bullish trend line. This is within that zone where it could potentially break away and find a bullish run. Market is within that consolidation. Let's see, what else do we see? Nothing else as far as the daily is concerned. Let me remind you guys, whenever it comes to different kind of time frames, you're not necessarily going to see information on every single one. Just keep an open mind and an open eye to see potentially what you could find. Market broke away from this bullish trend line, retest almost exactly, and hit its general support resistance zone within this level. Another thing that I'm seeing right now is wicks on the downside. This giant wick is not good information for anybody that wants to get into a sell right now. For me to get into this trade setup, let me see what I potentially see UCAD doing. So UCAD is within that consolidation zone. If we actually move this a little bit lower because it's no longer relevant over there, if we see right here, we see that consolidation zone. Expectation for this market to maintain a downward trade is not highly probable anymore just because of that information. To be honest, just because of the fact that it has found a lot of support on this bullish trend line on the monthly, my expectation for this pair is to maintain a bullish trend and break away from the support resistance zone. So that's what I'm expecting to see for me to get into this actual trade setup. If I do get into it right now, it would be more of a confidence trade, and my stop loss would generally be based on this information right here. TP would be above these levels, and stop loss would have to be at least 20 pips. Give me a good 3-to-1 ratio, basically, within that level. So TP would potentially be above that. This is just a confidence trade, not necessarily based on too many confirmations, other than the fact that it has found support on the monthly, support on support resistance zones on smaller time frames, and a break away from the bearish and bullish trend lines. So this is waiting to see what happens with this specific pair. All right, Ripple. So Ripple. So if you guys want to get into Ripple, okay, this is very good information, what I'm seeing right now. Okay, so not necessarily, just to give you guys the emphasis that I don't look at the monthly. Oh, no, I didn't want to upgrade. Damn it. I hate when it does that. It starts lagging. Okay, so we see this bearish trend line confirmed multiple times. Let's look at the 4 hours. The monthly just gives us that clear understanding that I do not look at it. Just to give you guys the reason why. There's not enough information. Other than that, I just find a lot of support resistance within these levels. This cryptocurrency hasn't existed for too long for us to get that information that we need. Let's look at the daily. So when it comes down to the daily, we see exactly right now market is respecting this bearish trend line. So market is respecting this bearish trend line, is within that consolidation zone that it's having right now on a daily. Let's look at the 4 hour to give us a more clear picture. 4 hours with consolidation wicks on the downside. Potential TP is within this general previous high, which is this level of resistance. So my TP is around generalizing it 1,641 pips, if I'm correct about how you trade. No, never mind. It's probably not that. But let's look at the 1 hour. The expectation for the market to maintain a bullish run based on the wicks on the downside is highly probable. So let me give you guys a really quick run through as to what I just said. Market breaker, bro, retested that bearish trend line on a daily. Broke away from it, retested once, and retested again. Wicks on the downside, another confirmation. No lower lows based on the support zone, another confirmation. And the fact that the market has not pushed below that is a very relevant information just because of the fact that it has consolidated within that zone. So potential for XRP USD Ripple is a buy. Ripple US dollar. So now let's look at US 30. Very easy to trade. So on the monthly expectation, market has not pushed above this. Keep in mind, market has not pushed above that. That's very important information for anybody looking at this. Daily, still see a lot of hesitation, almost a double top within this general area. Wicks on the upside, meaning that just hesitation on the buyers because market has not really pushed above that. And when it comes down to this, we have a bullish channel once, twice, breakaway, retest. So within that consolidation zone, expectation for the market to maintain a downward trend is highly probable. 1 hour, market is pushing downward, not necessarily in a very rapid pace, but it's necessarily giving us direction for that. So now, based on this information alone, how can you get into this trade? Honestly, when it comes down to US30, unless you catch it within that movement that it's about to make, it's not impossible. It's just the fact that you have to be a lot more, in a sense, your risk management has to be higher just based on the fact that this is a lot of money, even on a small standard. So if you want to get into this trade, I would wait for the market to retest this support and resistance zone, even this one, if you want to be more safe. And once it does that, potential for a sell is based on the fact that it has broken away from this bullish trend line. And the fact that it has found a lot of support and resistance when it comes down to this previous resistance zone on a higher time frame, which is the monthly and the daily. So based on that information, market could break away from this and find a TP within that level, which is right here. Just because of where it is right now, if you want to get into a trade, if it does maintain a downward direction, I would wait for it to break away at this consolidation zone and at least retest. I do want to see a retest just because of the fact that this is US30. You'd rather be safe than sorry. And a retest and your TP could potentially be within these lower levels. So just because I say my TP is going to be here, just based on what I see in the market, and the market does exactly what it does here and retest on the support zone, then I'm going to place another sell and hit my TP all the way down here. Just because of the fact that this is where the market started consolidating, and we find a lot of support within these levels. We find resistance here, but we still find major support within these levels. So just because the market breaks away from here, we can see a lot of confirmation that there's a direction for the market to go down. That is highly probable. So that's it for all the pairs, US30 and my cryptocurrency. So any other book recommendations that I have for you guys is The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I believe that's what it's called. I'm listening to the audiobook right now. It's about 11 hours. It's a very great book. Not because honestly, because it just gives you a lot of understanding when it comes down to as far as your character and your personality and why you do certain things. And if I'm being honest, when it comes down to trading, yes, we do this for the money. We do this because it can make us so much money. But money is just paper. Money is just a thing. And if you're doing this for the recognition, there's no fulfillment in that, in my personal opinion, because of the fact that it's not necessarily vital for you as a human being to be recognized by other human beings who don't really know what they're doing with their life. The best and most important thing for this, as far as anything in life, is for you to be happy and content with what you're doing. So I really, just to give you some advice, is that don't judge anybody, even if they have a job. Do not judge anybody. That's very important because not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Not everybody wants to not have a job. You know, some people, teachers, for example, some teachers, not all of them, but some teachers, do education because they love it, because it's their passion, and they find success in that, and they find happiness in that. So for us, I believe that when it comes down to a lot of us who are young, we believe that success equates to money, and that's not necessarily true. Success does not necessarily equate money. You can be successful as far as money is concerned, but be unsuccessful as far as your character and your emotions and your habits and all that stuff. Or you can be successful and in a sense being middle class, but be very successful in your character and your personality as far as your habits and everything that you do in life. So for me personally, I do intend on being a very wealthy person, upwards, if God give me breath, to billions of dollars, if that's something that my life is, in a sense, if I have enough life to do that as far as my time in this world. But that's not necessarily what's going to bring me fulfillment. And of course, I'll buy my family stuff and anything, but that's not necessarily what's going to bring me fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from doing things that make you happy. And those things are basically things that allow you to grow as an individual, things you cannot monetary buy, things that you cannot necessarily go to the store and say, hey, I need to buy this, or you can't necessarily flex it on social media. These are things that you work in private with, that you learn from based on experience, based on just having time alone and growing as an individual, learning from experience, learning from pain, learning from losses and all that. So just something to keep in mind. Um, Understand that don't ever judge anybody. I know this whole idea that's going on around the world is that if you have a 9 to 5, you suck and all that stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. When it comes down to having a 9 to 5, it's very demeaning. But to certain people, not everybody hates their 9 to 5. Not everybody dislikes what they do. People love what they do. Some people work for charity. Some people work for marketing. Some people do anything, but they love what they do. And that's what it is. As long as you love what you do, I love trading, and that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. I'll continue growing as far as that into investments and other things, assets. But one thing to keep in mind is that it's just because I've been seeing it on social media a lot, and it's not to bash anybody, but it comes a lot from MLMs, and it basically comes with the idea that you have to talk down on people or what they do, and that's not necessarily right. I used to be like that. That's why I can speak on it very clearly. Is that you don't necessarily need to be like that. Every human being has their own path, their own understanding about the world. They don't need to necessarily do what you need to do what you do because you believe that's what success is. For me, from my personal opinion, my success comes from how I grow and how I develop. The material things, as far as the money I'll obtain and the things I'll have, those come second as far as everything else. But how I grow as a person is what successfully defines me as a person. So, hope you guys have. Don't take my advice if you don't want it, but just listen and see if you can grow as far as that's concerned. Because judgment is a very toxic thing, and just looking at people in the wrong way and making them feel, in a sense, less. And that's just because I've been seeing that. The reason I bring that up is because it's been seeing that a lot on social media and on Instagram. And I've gotten to the point where I just don't want to get on Instagram or any kind of platform for that too long, because of the fact that people who are new to this entrepreneur journey or this goal of becoming an independent person, all of a sudden have the same kind of conversation. They all talk the same, and you can tell who's new to this because they all say "fuck 9 to 5" or make work for you or some shit like that. And it's not necessarily. I'm not bashing anybody, but it's there doesn't those aren't words that come with growth. Those are words that come from just having something new and trying to fit in. You don't necessarily need to fit in this. So if you love trading and this is your passion, you truly believe this is your passion, I believe you'll be successful. But if you're doing trading just because you want to make money and that's it, and it's not something that you love to do, it's not something that you want to do, it's not something that you look forward to doing, then more than likely you might find success, but you won't be successful as far as your growth and as far as your character, because you'll always be lacking that fulfillment that you seek. And my fulfillment comes from growing as an individual, as a trader, and as a person. So that's my word of wisdom for you guys. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I'll have a Zoom call, not a Zoom call, but another webinar probably tomorrow. I'm going to be more consistent with them. And I'll start uploading YouTube videos of me personally talking, so I can at least help you guys as far as advice and anything that can help. So have a blessed day and a blessed week.